in. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Welcome to the case study webinar. Good to see you here.
Hello.
Hi, Mark.
Hello.
And Jenny and Mateus and Federico. We also have Erwin here. And so while we wait for others to join us, if you want to answer the question that you see on the screen, or that you hopefully see on the screen, I would love to know what's motivators. So I'm obviously alluding to the moving motivators from Management 3.0. Which motivators were activated when you decided to join this session? So you have a list of the 10 moving motivators there. And if you want to tell us on the chat which ones were activated when you made the decision, we would love to know. And hi, Jenny, I see you saying hello on the chat. Feel free to unmute and say hi.
Hi, Paula.
Hi, Paula. And I see Els. Hello, good, and you? I see Els. Hi, Els.
Hello.
Hello. We haven't seen each other on camera yet, I think. So good to see you. Hi, Erwin. You're not in the forest anymore.
No.
This is our running joke. What is that now? Is that like you've been hiking? I see. Okay.
It's Ireland.
It's Ireland. Nice. That's cool. Yeah. And Philip also joined us now. So hello, hello. And I see here on the chat that you're saying that curiosity and mastery, great, were two of the motivators that made you join. Mastery and relatedness, for sure, Mark. For me, a lot of what motivates me to do these things is relatedness. It's being around people who care about the same things that I do and spending time with you and learning from you. So, oops, we have Alexander in the waiting room. I'm going to let them in before I ask Kichor, should we start? What do you think?
Yes, it's a good time
Yes?
to start, yeah.
All right, so let's start. And hi, Alexander, good to see you. You just joined us and we right on time because we are about to kick this off. So welcome everyone to a case study webinar. Welcome to our members and also very warm welcome to everyone who's joining who is not a member yet. So we've decided to close, I don't know, these webinars to the people who have demonstrated interest in joining our community. So in the past, we've done these webinars as a public events, but then we decided, no, let's make it actually more special and make it open for the community members and for the people who have demonstrated interest. And hopefully this is a way for you to start meeting some of the members and excite you even more to join. And obviously for everyone here in the room, this is a great opportunity to learn from real case studies, from real situations of how Management 3.0 and their practices have been applied in practice, in real contexts. In this case, in the work context, we have also had webinars which were about family contexts, but today we are focused on work. But before I pass the mic to Kichor, I want to remind everyone about Forward, because in a week I will already be in Berlin. I'm extremely excited. I can't even work anymore. I just want to pack and leave. And so either online or in Berlin, I would love to see you there. And if you are a current community member, please remember that you have the your discount code under the perks page on our platform. And if you're not a member yet, I'm extending this perk, a special discount to you to go back to the prices of the super early bird price. So if this sounds interesting, check out the website and then send me an email and I'll give you the code. So that is what I wanted to say. This is going to be an awesome conference and experience. I know I'm biased, but we are doing our best and putting all our energy into it. So without further ado, what's in store for us today? So we're going to start with a case study webinar for the first 45 minutes, where Kichor will tell us about his story of using movie motivators in a change context in 2 cases. So today is a 2-in-1. And then we were going to have a Q&A. So if throughout the webinar you have questions, please add them to the chat, and I'm going to start collecting them. And then at the end, if it makes sense to interrupt Kichor and ask a question in that moment, I will. But if not, we'll keep it to the end, and maybe I'll ask you to say your question out loud. Maybe I'll read it depending on your preference and also on the time that we have. Then for the members, we are, after the case study webinar, we are going to move into the after-hour session, which is exclusive for the community, and we will continue talking about what we've heard in the webinar and how we can apply that to our own context. So that's it for me. Kichor, I'm going to stop sharing and pass the mic to you. While you do that, I'll say that Kichor is one of our most active members in the community, coming directly from Paris to us via Zoom today. And I'm glad you accepted this invitation to be here today. So Kichor, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Sarah. And hello, everyone. I'm really delighted to be with you, dear community members, and also maybe future members. And thank you, Sarah, for giving me this opportunity to share my experience using the Moving Motivators cards. So I'm going to start with a few words about myself. So I'm Kichor, working in the banking industry as a change and transformation expert leader. I've been working in this area for 15 years, and I love in my job learning new things, especially new methods, new facilitating techniques, tools. And that's one of the reasons why I joined the Management 3.0 community. I'm based in Paris. I've got 2 kids, 8 and 7 years old. And just out of curiosity, who knows what a mixologist is? Yeah, so this is my second job. Yeah, indeed. And and my second job is being a mixologist. So basically what I do, I design new cocktails. I also organize cocktails workshops to help people and barmen learn more about this area. But this is not the topic for today. Maybe I'll have other occasions to talk about it later on. But I'm going to talk about one experience I had in a specific context. So basically, a couple of years ago, I was working in a transformation team of a corporate and investment bank. And there was a global lean management program that we wanted to deploy across all the regions where we were implemented. And we started with the first area that was in London with a scope of a back office department with 60 people, including 10 managers. And actually those projects are with a duration of 3 months, and we cannot negotiate this duration, meaning that if we do not reach the objectives, we cannot extend any further the project. So that's one of, we'll talk about it, one of the key challenge. And in this project, I was the project leader with 5 members in my team. Just to draw the picture. But if we go into the details, the objectives of the project was to find 15% of time saving by working on continuous improvement. And I mean by continuous improvement, working on all the areas where we can save time. For example, improving their processes, the way they develop the skills of their team members, how they manage performance, how they deliver to the client what they need and nothing else in a very fast manner, and also how they take care of their staff and they develop a good mindset and behaviors. So that was one of the key objectives, and also to make managers and staff change their way of working, meaning that we all know that in this industry, the management style is very old-fashioned, meaning that it's a traditional way of managing people, like very command and control. And the idea here was more to put some collaboration, for example, introducing daily meetings with visual management to help people express themselves and also share about things they see on the ground rather than just executing what the boss has said. And the two main challenges in this project for me was to get to work with new people, with new team members in my team, who were within a pool of project leaders. Because in this very intense project, my challenge was to develop a strong team spirit and also to connect with each member, and also to get to know them and develop trust. And the other challenge was that in that business department, there was a new head that was appointed, and I knew that these situations were not perfect, because when there's a new head, there's no real connections within the head and the people. So I knew it would be a challenge, because I wouldn't be able to count on that head that would have no influence on the staff or the managers. And to give you a very simple picture of the setup on this project, you have this, where my project team was on this side, where I was the project leader. I had a senior member and 4 junior members. And on the other side, the business team, the head of the department had a deputy head with line managers and the staff. And the story I'm going to tell you is all about using the moving motivators in 2 contexts. First, with my team, and then with one leader, the deputy head of that department. But we'll come to that later. So the purpose here is not to go into the details on how to run a moving motivator session. There is a webinar that is dedicated to it, that was presented by another community member, and maybe Sarah will share with you the link afterwards if you want to know more about how to run it, especially for the new for the person who are not member yet. But I'm going to share with you the way I'm running these moving motivators. So first of all, I ask the person first of all, I explain the 10 moving motivators cards, and then I ask the person to select their 3 best motivators and the 3 worst, and to explain why. And after the step, I show what I call the activation scale, and I ask the person to place each card on this matrix, on this scale, for me to understand if what motivates the person is at the moment very much activated or not at all. And this is very important for me, because you may be motivated by something, but if the thing you don't have it, you do not have food to work, then you're not going to work. So that's an image I found it interesting. So when I do this with my team members, especially at the beginning of the project, it's for me that I wanted to better know them, and also to understand how they work, because I know that I need to get to know what they need for me to have motivated people, and also for me to adapt my leadership style. You can imagine that I will not manage a senior member as I will do with junior members. They do not have the same expectations. However, if we do not have a transparent talk, we will never get to know each other, and I may do something wrong that will not motivate them. So at first, when I organized, so basically this session, I did one session, a 1 hour session per person on a one-to-one basis. And at first they were a bit surprised. Okay, I'm not too sure what it is about. And at the end, they loved it. they told me, okay, it's very interesting to do this. I kind of knew what motivates me, but it's better when we have like when we formalize it. And actually with these new members, what's easy to do is to do the first part, the selection of the cards. But then for the second part, as we have not worked yet together, they will not be able to tell me whether it's activated or not. So in that case, what I told them, I said, okay, after selecting your motivating cards, just refer to your previous project and tell me whether they were rather activated or not at all. So I can take it from there and then work out how I will manage the different work I can give them, or things I want them to do. For example, if because I had different streams, there are streams where you have some room to create things, to create workshops, to create whatever you want, and there are others you really have to focus on a methodology, and you cannot really go out of it. So if someone tell me that what motivates the person is freedom, then I may not put her on this specific stream. I may give her more space for help for the person to feel comfortable. So that's one example. And the second part. So I mean, just to summarize on the first case. So the benefits that I could catch from doing this with my team members before the project. I mean, at the very beginning of the project, is that it helps understand very accurately how the team member works and what motivates them. Also, it enabled me to adapt my leadership style and also to build trust, because they were not used to open themselves in saying all these kind of things, especially because I wasn't their hierarchical manager. I was more like a functional manager. So at first they were kind of hesitating, but then I put them in a comfortable situation for them to share with me, and it helps building trust. And the other thing that is that it's very important for everyone to feel that someone is listening to you, and people do not tend to talk about this kind of topics very often. So that helped, and really all along the project we had a very good relationship. I found them motivated for the 3 months that were very intense, and that's why I wanted to share this experience with you on this first case. And now on the second case, oops. So basically this is what I wanted to share with you: understand their personal needs and fill them whenever possible. And the second case was something I didn't really expect to do at the very beginning of the project. But what happened is that my team members and myself were organizing some workshops with the business team. Okay. The people there, staff and line managers, were attending the different workshops, but they were not really participating. They were not engaged in, for example, describing their processes in details. They were not willing to share their pain points, to share when they lose time. So they were very reluctant to engage in this process. And on my side, I was mentoring and coaching the head of department to lead this project and to be a good sponsor in this initiative. And every time the head was talking to the team, the people were like, okay, we'll do it. But then in fact, they were not doing it. They were on the ground. They were not participating as expected. So on the other side, my senior member reported that the deputy head was not really engaged too. And then I figured out something, and this is something I found out afterwards with the management 3.0 community, is that you always have like org chart in the paper, but you have to find out the real org chart. because actually, and the real org chart was not the one you're seeing on the screen. The real org chart is that the head of department was not really accepted by anyone, and the person who was really controlling the team was the deputy head. But she was like more in a situation that, okay, I'm not doing anything, I'll leave the new head dealing with the situation, and I just like, okay, I just stay here around and not doing anything. So when I found out this, I took a decision, and I decided, I talked to my senior member and I said, okay, from now on, you're going to work along with the head of department, and I'm going to mentor the deputy head. So we swapped our connections. And with this deputy head, I had a meeting with her, and I shared my observation to her, saying that, okay, this is not what we're expecting. And then I decided to switch completely and to say, okay, let's try something different. And this is where I brought to her, okay, how about we do something about working on the moving motivators? And I did this with her, and she was okay to do it. And when we did it, it was very interesting, because she identified her motivators, the 3 best and the 3 worst. And in the 3 best motivators, she had the power card. And what was interesting is that she put the power card in the very low level of activation. And she told me that if we did that a year ago, the power card was up there on the very activated part, meaning that, and when doing this exercise, she realized that the reason why she was like not being supportive and wasn't really proactive on this project was that she lost the power. She couldn't find it herself, and when we did this game, she realized that, yeah, I understand why. And the fact is that she was not in charge, whereas before with the former head, she was actually managing the whole thing. And the new head didn't want her to do that. And as of back on that day, she was doing like the administrative stuff. So that unlocked the situation. And afterwards, I told him, okay, maybe this is the situation as it is, but you can still have the power by doing things on the ground, not on the chart. And afterwards, the story ended well, because she managed to talk to her team to say, okay, we have to do this and let's do it. And she managed to embark and get all the people engaged in this process. So definitely, when you face a complicated situation, it may be good to step back and to go deeper into the individuals, to understand or to make them self-reflect and understand their individual drivers to unlock some situations. And so, I'm looking at the clock, and I'm just finished. So just to conclude, I wanted really to share this experience on the moving motivators cards, because actually that was the very first tool that I found out, and that led to me to this community today. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Kichor. So now it's time for everyone to add their questions to the chat.
Yeah.
Or to unmute and ask the question, because we have enough time for that if you want to say it verbally. I will kick off by saying that I think the first example, or the first case, is probably the most common. Let's say that this the idea of bringing moving motivators to a team to understand their motivations, to understand what they what type areas of the project it makes more sense to allocate them to. So it's interesting to talk about it and show that it's possible. But when you told me the second one, I was like, wow, like that it, not only it helped unlock the situation, you turned this person into an ally. And so I think the management 3.0 practices, they are simple. That's their beauty. But it's another good example of how a simple practice can lead to interesting examples. Were you expecting an outcome like this when you started?
Not really, actually, but because the situation was really kind of desperate. So I think I told myself I need to try something. And at first, I wasn't too sure whether she would accept to do this because it had nothing to do with the project. But I kind of managed to get some trust from her, and afterwards, after doing this moving motivator session with her, I also explained to her that, you know, I'm here to help her achieve her objectives, her collective objectives, but I'm also here to help her feeling happy at work. And I think that when I said that, she understood that what I was doing was for the good of herself and the team, and I wasn't like, you know, too much pushing for me to get my own results out of the project.
Yeah, but which leads to what you said, like you help people make comfortable to have this conversation with you. And I have a question about that, but there are two questions on the chat, so I'm going to take the opportunity to ask them. So Mark is asking, when you did the exercise with your team, were team members aware of each other's responses?
Oh, no, I didn't share their answers with each other. However, I shared my motivators, you know, because I think it's important to have a kind of a balance and a fair balance. If I know their motivators, they should know mine. So I was sharing mine. And then yeah, it's a good question, because I didn't ask myself whether it would bring value to share that. Sometimes it's kind of personal. If I have to give an answer, I may be reluctant to share. Why? Either it depends. If they both have the same motivators, it may generate competition, but like then it could be a good competition or a bad competition. So I wouldn't take the risk to generate competition then. Otherwise, if I feel that they have different motivators, then it may be interesting to share, to feel that for them to feel that they are they are complementary.
Okay, that's interesting. I haven't thought about that perspective of creating competition, or yeah.
For example, if two members put the status or the honor cards, you never know how.
Maybe they'll become allies in looking for status. I don't know. All right, so I'm going to share something that Mark shared earlier. Generously shared a template for us to use and play movie motivators using another tool. I'm sorry, virtual tool. We usually use Miro or Miro, but Mark's shared another way to play it online. So here it is again. Thank you, Mark, again. And then let me move to the next question. So Paula is saying, thank you, Kichor. How did you address the deputy head's perceived lack of power? Was this because a new head of department had come in?
Yes, indeed. Because of the new head of department came in, then the roles and responsibilities were shared differently than before. Before the former head didn't really do the operational management. Everything was managed by the deputy, and afterwards the new one decided to take everything and just to give the administrative stuff. So not very motivating for that person. But then what she managed to understand is that it's not about power. It's not about what you do. It's about your influence also. You know, you can have power by influencing people doing things. So it's not about what is written on your job description.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that she had the power and on the list. We've learned that at least in our community, because we are really nice people. We had a workshop where there was like a task to find someone who had power in one of their top 3 movie motivators, and it was really hard to do because it felt like people were a bit cautious about saying that power was important for them. So it has this weird connotation sometimes. However, it's exactly like you said, Kichor, it might be just influence, and influence doesn't have to be manipulation. It can be, I have an idea, or I have a vision for the world and I want to share it with others. And so, yeah, I think that's a good reframe. Cool. So more questions, please, for Kichor. I'm going to ask mine, but please either ask or maybe put your hand up here on Zoom, or just interrupt me. It's fine. I'm giving you permission. So Kichor, you mentioned that it was important to help your team members and also this leader to feel comfortable with you. For the team members, did you do anything specifically to increase that level of psychological safety? How did it go?
Yeah, indeed. I didn't start doing the moving motivators from scratch. Just hello, nice to meet you. I'm Kichor. Let's do moving motivator. So no, actually, I prepared the field, as I would say. So first of all, we went to London together from Paris. So using the train, the Eurostar train. So we had a kind of good moments and good fun when having like taking the train. It was like when we were kids, you were going out, and then we had a very first a nice dinner and drinks in a pub in London. So we had kind of many nice moments to build to do some team building, to get to know each other personally. So yeah, and then I kind of felt that it was a good way, a good time, sorry, to do it afterwards. Yeah. And I also explained to them, because it wasn't the first time they were doing this kind of project, so they knew themselves that once you start, it goes very fast. From 8 to 9, you hardly find time to go to the toilet. So we had to do this right at the beginning, and afterwards, to tell you the full story, when they in the project afterwards, they went to another project leader, and they asked the other project leader to do this workshop, but the other one didn't know, so he didn't do it.
Oh, you could have supported the other leader.
Yeah, but actually, I was busy doing it with others.
Yeah. Well, we need to share this with more leaders.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That's my conclusion. Yeah, but going back, yeah, so of course you had already set the scene, and it was about also getting to know each other as people and finding the right environment for that. Yes, and I'm wondering if you used your mixologist skills to lure them into doing this.
No, I didn't need to use them. I didn't need to use this trump card.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. So more questions for Kichor. I can go on forever, but I don't think you want that. So I'll pause for a second. I don't know, Kichor, if you have any specific questions or something you'd like, questions for the audience, or something you'd like to share.
I wanted to ask whether within the participants there are people who manage teams, and how they do to understand what motivates them.
It's a good question. No? I'm curious. Kichor, do you mind to stop sharing?
Oh yeah,
so that we can see each other. Yeah, and Paula, please.
I don't directly manage people, and that's actually probably a challenge of the job. I'm a Scrum Master, and so my job is to indirectly manage the team, whilst not having direct responsibility for them. So that brings its challenges, but also rewards too. So, and I think in terms of finding out about people's motivators, I've only been a very new Scrum Master. I've only been in this job for a year. I wasn't working in Agile before. I wasn't from a tech background either. I'm from a marketing background, so it's quite a change. And I just find that having one-to-ones with them actually really helps. There isn't always the space and the time to do it in the Scrum events that we have. And although we have retrospectives, there still isn't enough time for people always to, communicate what they want to, and might not want to do it publicly. So I do find having the one-to-ones helps, and then it also helps me. I take actions out of those one-to-ones for the team. So I always try and direct it back if they say, oh, there's a problem, and I'm like, okay, well, what are you going to do? How can we do this with the team, and what are we going to do next? And I always try and pull it back into the team. And I think that helps as well. So yeah.
Thank you, Paula.
Thank you, Paula, for sharing.
Are you going to use moving motivators now in one of those one-to-ones?
Yeah, well, I had planned it. I thought either I could use them one-to-ones or maybe in a retrospective, and I had looked at it. We're mainly still virtual and not always face-to-face. So I had thought about using it, and I'd looked at the Miro board, and then when I saw this come up, I was like, oh, this is either very timely or very good in terms of the analytics and metrics that I've been looking at moving motivators. So I thought I would have a look at it, so I thought it would be really useful for a retrospective in particular.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
And Mark, you wanted to share something? I saw you raised your hand.
Yeah, I'm not a supervisor of anybody right now. I'm an independent coach, but I have been in the past, and I would have really appreciated a tool like Moving Motivators when I was doing that kind of work. I have used it in arranging for, when I was a Scrum Master, an Agile coach, arranging for one of my teams to interview for a new team member, and use the Moving Motivators as part of the interview process to try to get some insights into how this person might behave, and to give the team some insight into what motivates this person and how they might behave. And that was an interesting application for me.
We've heard about that application a few times in interviews. Yeah, and there's even actually, I don't remember if it wasn't an interview. One of our members has shared that he played the Moving Motivators with his boss. He asked to play, and he wanted to do it to say that freedom was extremely important for him, and if that would not be possible in that job, that he should not either not take it, or that should be clear from the start that would demotivate him. And of course, explaining what freedom means for him, that is very important. Of course, like, it's not just placing the cards; it's the conversation that happens after that. Yeah,
it's a very interesting idea, and especially we all know that today it's very difficult to attract talent. So if a person goes to different interviews, and in one interview the manager does this with the Moving Motivators, it may be the criteria where the person also goes to you, because you are innovative in your way you recruit. Okay,
cool.
Nice.
So any other questions, comments? Kichor, I felt like I cut you. You were going to say something.
No, it's okay.
No.
No, something we can maybe add is that we in the card, what is important is not really the picture or the text underneath. It's more the conversation around it, the words you put, and how you feel.
Yeah, and what relatedness, for example, means, right?
Yeah.
It might be different from me than it is to you. So
Indeed, definitely.
Yeah, that conversation is extremely important. All right. So before we go, I have one last slide that I like to show to remind our members of what's coming next. So we have the leadership story session, which is the moment where we share our stories and our challenges, ask for help, and share what's on our minds. For the first time, we're doing this in a lean coffee style. So if you don't know what lean coffee is, that's basically you come to the meeting without an agenda and you suggest the topics that you would like to discuss. And then throughout the meeting, we kind of move them on a Kanban board and kind of from to done. And we see how many topics we can cover on that session. So we're going to do that on the 8th. And you can already add your topics to the Miro board. And then on December 13th, we have the practice session with Liat and myself about the change management game. So we're going to play the game, and it's going to be sort of a holidays edition. So Liat is getting really creative with the Miro board. I'm excited, and so I hope you're too. And now we're going to move into the after-hour session. So for everyone else, thank you so much. No, this is not what I wanted to show. Oh, there's no thank you slide. I'm sorry, forgot the thank you slide, but there is a thank you here. Thank you everyone for showing up today. I hope you learned something, that you got to see some familiar faces or friendly faces, and I will see you next month for the not members. For the actual members, see you in a few seconds.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you. See you. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Bye.